Teaching pragmatics. Sources reviewed on the topic of teaching pragmatics discusses issues with teaching pragmatics, such as teachers simply following textbooks in the classrooms rather than implementing meaningful interaction and authentic dialogue or application.
So here's a statement found in the article read that discusses the issues in teaching pragmatics.
And it states, finally and probably the most disconcerting was the finding that ESL teachers rarely provide supplemental materials when this was not adequately provided in the primary text, either because of lack of time, inclination, or training. So just to recap, summary of pragmatics. Pragmatics is a study of practical usage of language derived from the perspective of users. And there are three major communication skills. Use of language for different functions, such as greeting, informing, demanding, promising, requesting. Appropriately adapt or change language according to listener or situation. And follow rules for conversation. Knowing how to tell a story in its order or structure, let's say a book report. Why is teaching pragmatics in a meaningful, interactive way important? We have to consider pattern of conversation, discourse markers such as so, however, then, say, look, and, but. Styles of talking, right? There's formal and informal. In informal language, it's how we talk to our peers or at home, and then we have formal, how we talk to our teachers, instructors, or professionals, and code switching, which typically happens with bilingual speakers, such as, like, let's say, Spanglish or Tex-Mex, when we're talking in English and then incorporate our native language dialects.
And for this presentation, we will focus on activities that have been developed according to the article in reading by Brian Reese to bring meaningful interactions to teach pragmatics into the classrooms. The bottom line of teaching pragmatics is for English language learners to minimize errors or misunderstandings when communicated in the target language. This can be done through engaging in exercises that focus on cross-cultural communication. And some keywords are cultural misunderstanding, cultural differences, and cultural importance.
So, point one, an issue. The lack of pragmatic skills can become a problem since it's through language that we need to communicate and interact with each other.
Additionally, to become a truly competent speaker, grammatical command of language is not enough, but also social linguistic competence. And this competence requires recognition of appropriate styles, execution of politeness routines, and awareness of instances to speak or remain silent.
Even though pragmatic cues can be acquired over time outside the ESL classroom, this can take a long time and involves trial and error. So, essentially, just being aware of pragmatics is not enough.
Cultural differences can add a further sense of isolation and distance in situations where the lack of proficiency in a second language already puts an English language learner at a disadvantage in satisfying wants and needs, leading to possible issues with security and self-esteem. Inappropriate use of language, either as a result of lack of linguistic foundation or uncertainty as to its application, can result in thwarted attempts at economic advancement and lost opportunity in academic promotion if simple needs are not adequately expressed.
Native speakers will generally make allowances for grammatical mistakes with a second language learner. However, if non-native speaker makes a pragmatics error, he or she might be considered boorish or uncooperative or inconsiderate or rude, especially if the speaker is grammatically competent. Pragmatic errors thus create a mistaken reflection not of less than proficient second language user, but of a flawed character.
Review of the literature suggests pragmatics is, in fact, teachable. This conclusion is supported by the affirmation studies, represents language as a reflection of moment-to-moment relationships we share with each other that take into account roles, status, power differentials, and membership within a speech community. Because we bring our diverse values and orientations to any given human interaction, misunderstandings and ambiguity are inevitable if those values are not inherently shared. Becoming a truly competent speaker requires more than just a firm grasp of traditional linguistic-centered knowledge, where the complexities of relationship must be considered and learned before one can truly demonstrate communicative competence.
So here are a few pragmatic activities. They're more interactive activities versus just teaching pragmatics in a grammatical sense. So like the first one focuses on indirect request. So you would have students record examples from popular media or direct and indirect requests, noting the context of request. And then another focus can be turn taking. Students will be divided into two groups. One group prepares cards with questions, the other group gets cards with answers. Each student reads their question, then the student with the correct answer has to jump into conversation. And this helps them kind of learn what's appropriate or what's considered rude or okay when they're having conversations with other people of different backgrounds. So here's another activity that focuses on indirect requests that can be used in the classroom that's also interactive.
And so in here the class will try to guess the context, the relationship of the speaker to each other, and whether the level of directness and politeness was appropriate for the circumstances. The instructions are you would list these requests in order from indirect to most direct. For example, like turn off the TV, you have to go to school. Another possibility is I'm asking you to turn off the TV, son. Or another, I would like you to turn off the TV and come to breakfast now. And so forth.
Go back. So, like in this activity, you want to see how the student responds because it kind of gives you an idea of their background and how they understand the pragmatics of these, let's say, sentences. So, for example, the first one, turn off the TV, you have to go to school, can be heard in different perspectives, such as turn off the TV, you have to go to school, or turn off the TV, you have to go to school. And so it can be polite or it can be rude or inappropriate or appropriate to some or not. Go to the next slide. So here's another activity worksheet, and this focuses on making a suggestion.
And for this one, you would read carefully and think about what you would say to the other person and write your answers. Situation 1, your friend has a job interview tomorrow. He really needs a haircut to look nice, and what would you say? Second one would be to write the best response to each situation. For example, your new friend likes to wear a strong perfume. You notice you have a runny nose when you are near her. You're pretty sure if it is a perfume since you have allergies to certain scents.
In your response, you would put, you would respond or suggest whatever the student may say. But again, this is important to read when your students submit this to you so you see where they stand as far as what they understand or what level they're on. So here's another activity that focuses on turn taking. This activity is meant to help students understand that there is a right moment to jump into a conversation, as I was saying earlier. It emphasizes I can't see that.
The iterative nature of turn taking and the consequences of being too early or too late.
So the instructions here: find a long jump rope and clear space in the classroom where you can turn the rope repeatedly. If your classroom space is not adequate, you may have to go outside. Select 2 students to turn the rope slowly. Point out that each turn of the rope represents a turn of talking and that there is the perfect moment to jump in and take a turn. As the rope reaches the bottom and skips the ground, say "now" repeatedly. Students may take turns jumping in and out of the moving jumping rope. If a student prefers not to jump in or physically cannot, they can clap their hands at the moment they should jump in. And so here are benefits of implementing more interactive activities and teaching pragmatics.
So with the offering of the curriculum supplement, ESL teachers can have more well-rounded lessons to offer their students. While the curriculum is designed for teachers, it is the ESL students who will ultimately benefit. As not-native English speakers continue to increase a percentage of the general population, they will need to learn not just grammar, vocabulary, and syntax, but also ways of interacting with other English speakers in a contextually appropriate and socially acceptable manner without a sense of loss of cultural identity. In the end, a society that is made up of multilingual and multicultural individuals is more likely to promote harmony and mutual tolerance, all necessary towards a healthy, functional society.
Okay. The following is a video in a classroom setting showcasing an interactive activity focusing on what's deemed appropriate or inappropriate in the context of U.S. American culture. Because of several technical difficulties, please click on the link in the PowerPoint located in the discussion board to view this video. Thank you.
Thank you.